Hello, my name is Terry Sacka, and you are watching The Wealth Transfer. I am along here with Dr. Charles Vance, and we are going to talk today, continuing about the China's rise in the global banking world, how it's going to impact your IRA, 401k, future buying power. So stay tuned. Charles,
Terry,
hello.
what did you call that bank again?
Asian Infrastructure. I can't even say that word.
Asian
Investment Bank.
Investment
Let's
Bank.
just say Asian Development Bank.
Now, we talked a little bit about this yesterday. I think it's worth repeating. Most people believe that banks, the banking system in a country is the country, and or owned and operated by the country, but that's not true.
No.
Banks are operated individually by very wealthy people. Do they connect up with the country itself, with the operation of the country? Sure, because they loan the country money to operate the countries with. America has borrowed so much money. The debt that they tell us is not right. What are they telling us, 18, 19 trillion dollars right now?
No, yeah, no.
I mean, that's what they're telling us.
Believe it or not, when the current administration took power, it wasn't even 9 trillion.
So it's over doubled.
More than doubled now. I am astounded at the amount of money. Obviously, they say we've come out of the deepest recession in history next to Great Depression. When you print $9 trillion, it's not so hard.
You should be able to pay it off.
Here's the worst part.
Pay off your old debt.
Not only did we do an additional $9+ trillion in our deficit debt, we then printed in technical terms for currency swap or loans to other foreign banks to the tune of $9 trillion.
No, that's not
unbelievable.
That's not America itself or the country printing the money. It's the banking system.
But the banking system is
Reserve.
printing up our form of money. Now, what we also know is this is not a U.S. dollar. It's a Federal Reserve note. Pay attention to that, because a real U.S. dollar constitutionally said grains of silver by definition, not an IOU slave note. It's a very big difference.
That's actually in the Constitution. I just
Absolutely
read
it is. Sure
Noah
is.
Webster's history of the U.S.
that.
It was actually in that.
Yes, it was.
That the only thing they can do is coin gold or silver.
Article
not allowed to do
1,
anything
Section
else.
8 of the Constitution, Congress has a right to coin money. Problem is, money was defined as Greek and Thayer, dollar and Thayer, Greek was Thayer, grains of silver, grains of gold. We've been tricked or slightly deceived into thinking the Federal Reserve note is money constitutionally. It's not. They're doing it anyway, so what? But if we Americans would have been in real money by constitutional standards, $100,000 10 years ago in this, barely worth $70,000 in buying power. $100,000 in 10 years ago in this, $400,000 today in buying power.
What people
Big
don't
difference.
realize, yeah, a huge difference.
Huge.
What people don't realize is when you start printing bills of credit, which is what these are.
That's
IOUs.
exactly right, bills of credit.
And
where the old dollar was not.
So you're right, exactly.
And that's where President Kennedy, by the way, was taking us. He was bringing us back to a real U.S. dollar again.
Well, it didn't go over good.
Didn't go over well, did it?
It didn't go over with the elite, the wealthy.
That's right.
What people don't understand is these are IOUs, which means they have no tangible value.
Right.
All it means is, here, I'll give this to you, I'll pay you. Well, what are you going to pay me with?
Right.
I got a buddy of mine who says, if you can't pay it today, what makes you think you can pay it tomorrow?
Right.
And our government has proved that they can't. That
they don't.
They're not lowering their debt. They're going in more and more debt.
And here's what's even worse, Charles. The world knows this. Now, granted, the world knows we are no longer in our debts. Now, we're paying our debts. Remember, we just argued over that a few years ago?
Yeah, but you just print more money to borrow more money to pay more debt with.
Here's the problem.
You can't do that.
Here's the problem.
You and I can't do that.
They own this, though. I know. If you own this, if you're as a foreign country and you're holding on to it, if it's getting printed more and more and more and more and more, it's losing a lot of value.
Yeah.
Return on your investment, as a foreign nation would put it. They're not happy about that. They can't do anything right this minute because the dollar kind of dominates the world. But as we left off last week, and we're going to continue here now, where this new Asian Development Bank came in, a lot of people try to wipe it under, oh, it's not a big deal. It has hundreds of billions It's definitely the rival to the Western world, and you're going to see that it's, whereas we go here, China's going to become one of the reserve currencies. This is not the only reserve currency.
Didn't you tell me a couple of weeks ago on the program, or maybe a month ago, that China is one of the largest importers of gold and silver right now in the world?
Yeah, oh yeah.
They're not importing to us, they're importing it to themselves.
I'm going to show the actual figures, but what we think is going to happen, Charles, is once the Chinese become part of the SDR basket, this current...
What's SDR?
SDR is a strategic drawing right, which is basically the IMF bank's version of a dollar. And it's made up of a handful of currencies. Once China becomes a member of that, which is basically like a United Nations banking member kind of scenario, you know, to simplify it, they're probably going to release their gold holdings. I don't.
Oh, you mean they're going to tell people how?
I think they're going to, because they haven't updated the world on their
Okay.
gold holdings in quite some time. I don't know if they're going to release it now. A lot of people do believe they are. I don't know. I would be careful thinking they will. But my guess, when China comes out officially and releases their gold holdings, the world is going to find out they have not only the same amount of gold as the U.S. or the Europeans, but more. And once that happens, everyone in the world will know China's a player in the world dominance phase.
With all of this printing, everybody's printing. You told
They
us
are,
a few
yeah.
weeks ago on the program that the Japanese had printed a quadrillion yen. Is that right? Was that correct?
Yeah, well,
Something like that?
yes, because the yen is, the Japanese currency is downright pretty much gone.
But
I mean, it's
but
amazing,
I'm saying they're printing it like crazy.
Yes.
So it's IOUs.
Yeah.
All you have to do is read through history and realize if you trade something tangible for something tangible, it always balances itself. If I trade you a piece of property for 2 cows, the cows have a certain value, the property has a certain value. This doesn't.
No.
So the reason you're saying that China is importing gold instead of just gathering up a bunch of money or printing more money is it's going to put them in the upper hand at some point.
Because,
is that correct?
yes, because what's interesting is to be a member of the SDR, you can't have a gold-backed currency.
You cannot
Because
Okay.
they want it to float. Print, float, print, float. Here's what China is brilliant at playing both sides of the fence. They're going to be part of the members, member of the IMF SDR basket, world reserve currency, just for the status, the credibility. And then they're going to come behind that when this economy, the world's economies collapse. Because don't kid yourself. There is a major, major correction in the world economy coming. We just don't know the exact amount of fallout, but whatever happened in 2008 was nothing compared to what's coming. Why is it important to us? Our ministries and churches and IRAs and 401ks and all of our savings is in the wrong place. We just got data the other day that the stock market is finally peaked at what they call full retail, meaning mom and pop and all the full retail money has finally gone in. That's dangerous because typically when that happens, the cycle, as I was taught back at A.G. Edwards, that's when it starts to get dumped.
There's nowhere for it to grow to. Is that correct?
Well,
it's grown to the cap.
It means that that's usually the end of a cycle.
Okay.
And so I have a feeling whatever's coming is going to be so large of a correction. And this realignment of the global dominance of currency and power and control is playing out right now in front of our eyes. So we need to understand what the Chinese are trying to do, Russia's trying to do, so we Americans, we the people, can be better positioned. Why is China telling their people to buy silver? I mean, they're telling buy silver with this currency. They know the whole, I think it's a reset coming. A global currency reset. Everything is going to get adjusted somehow. Well, let's just say this. I wouldn't be surprised if whatever global collapse comes economically is going to be tied also to a major war. Maybe a third type of world war. I don't know. All I know is look at what's happening globally. And as I was explaining to someone one day, it's like all the buckets of these things are filling up. Middle East, Ukraine, Israel, Asia, Russia. I'll look at our social unrest, all sorts of stuff. All the government, massive intrusion towards a civil control system, like a police states type of stuff, or what would they call that, martial law. For reasons, because if it hits the fan, it's going to be nuts, and they better be able to control the chaos. Wow, is this going to be something to be prepared for, right? We should have water. We should have food backed up. Our own government says we should have 90 days stored of food for emergency. If we're not prepared for what's coming, are you going to be any good for your family, your future, your buying power, your inheritance to your children, your church, your ministries? I would say no. So what do we do as the body of Christ? How do we get started? Education's a good place, and here's how to get started in there.
Cornerstone Asset Metals is here to help you protect and preserve what you have worked hard to gain. For those who have IRAs to protect, 401ks to preserve, or cash in the bank, we would like to send you a package of information regarding the changes to the dollar and the challenges of our economy that you need to be prepared for. This package includes how easy it is to roll over your current IRA or 401k into a physical precious metals IRA for long-term protection of your hard-earned wealth. For those of you with cash to invest, we can arrange to have your precious metals stored in a private vault or simply send it to your home. Call or register now.
Now, please keep in mind, I know we're talking about, the bigger picture as far as retirement accounts and ministries and such, but remember, all of us, every individual, I don't care if it's 1 or 2 coins, get something out of this. Go to a pawn shop, go somewhere local, find something somewhere, just get a part of some of real constitutional money so you can have as a form of a sell, exchange in the future. Because no matter what happens, a lot of people don't understand silver, but no matter what happens, you always can sell this and exchange it for these. So, or just exchange this, because remember, this is really our real money.
Trade it.
Trade it. That's what I'm saying. So it's always real money. So even if you don't have a retirement account, start with something. Don't think Cornerstone. That's not the point here. We're doing just fine. It's about the body of Christ.
You have to get started.
Something. Get started somewhere. We need to know what's coming.
Terry, you had mentioned, and I just want to real quickly mention this so people understand, you had mentioned that China is importing all kinds of gold, or we talked about that. Now, they're not tying their currency to gold yet, right?
No.
So, but they know the importance of stockpiling gold as a country.
They got a different.
The bankers.
Yes, they have a different philosophy than the West. The West this is the line in the sand. The West is trying to say gold is archaic. It's no longer real money. It doesn't matter. That's not what Alan Greenspan used to say, and he was our big chair back in the day, Federal Reserve gentleman. They know gold is money, but they're trying, because we are so severely in debt. People don't realize we have 60 trillion of obligations just for baby boomers. Medicare, Medicaid retirement system, Social Security. They just came out and said Social Security is broke more than they anticipated. We are in debt big time. So they need to be able to make this seem real, because they need to be able to print trillions and trillions any way they want, even though it means nothing. The East has a different opinion. Russia's stockpiling gold. Middle East is stockpiling gold. China stockpiling gold. Why do we say silver? Many reasons, because silver has far-reaching effects on the industrial complex, in manufacturing, health, and it's biblical for money. And the return on the investment for silver is superior to that of gold, but it's really a safer place to be in that respect, because it's our constitutional dollar bill. They're stockpiling it, Charles, as you said. They formed the Asia Infrastructure Bank. So let's start off with the second image there, back number 2. It was the cleaner view of the membership of this bank. Now remember, look how clean that is. Everything in red has already become a member. And Canada's part of that. They're our ally.
Now this is the Chinese bank, like the Federal Reserve.
Yes. Well, no, this is the new development bank. You can take that off. This is the bank
it's based out of China, is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
But what it is this bank is challenging the IMF. It gives loans to countries for infrastructure improvements.
Gotcha. Okay, so it's
kind of like a World Bank.
World Bank type of thing.
World Bank, but it's challenging the West is what it's doing.
Sure.
And so reason this is important, our allies are joining it. Now, granted, the United States adamantly hates this because it's embarrassing like you can't imagine. It's the biggest embarrassment I've ever seen in my life.
Well, doesn't it take it visually takes control away from us?
Yes.
Because it takes the spotlight off of us.
Yes.
Puts the spotlight in another place.
It basically says we're less relevant. We are no longer the world's largest creditor. We're the world's largest debtor. We have more debt than any country in the history of the world. So remember, China started off as the world's largest manufacturer. I mean, we built them into manufacturing these goods. That's why I know this sounds crazy. I personally think all this is engineered. I think even the Chinese rise is engineered. I think it's designed to tear down the global system as we know it, bring in 10 union currencies like the euro. I really would not be surprised to see a North American Union currency.
Who do you think is designing this?
Oh, the elites.
So
the banking elites.
So money people.
Yeah. And what they're going to do is, this is just my opinion now. I don't really have core data on this, but there's just so much that says so. We're looking like there's going to be 10 unions in the world of currency. That's the next step. So each individual country loses technical sovereignty because you're part of a union. Go ask European countries, look at Greece right now, right? They've lost a lot of their sovereignty because the EU is telling them what to do, how to do it. They lost their freedom. America, do you want to lose your freedom? Wait, I'm not going to get into it, but I will only tell you, our government right now is negotiating a TPP, which is a Trans-Pacific Partnership Union of Trade. And both sides are doing it. They're all in on it. And I'm just telling you, bad idea. And I know they say they need to do that to block China, to send a message. But when they're doing it with a blank check in respect to allow the administration to do whatever they want without any oversight, we're not even allowed to see it as Americans. But they're going to go after guns. They're going to go after ammo. They're going to go after massive immigration inflows into the United States. It's going to change the world system. Now, hey, we're not stopping it because nobody's standing up against it. Only a handful of congressmen are standing up against it. And God bless those who are. Because it's about sovereignty. It's about freedom. And what I really believe is happening is the elite system is designing the world to form 10 unions. Does that sound familiar in the Bible? The 10 kings?
It's a socialistic type of thing.
Hybrid socialism.
Yeah.
But it's about, I think biblically, I look at this is the 10 kings in the near end times where it's going to come out to play. Now, what does this mean to us? Our buying power is going to be annihilated when this collapse happens. China knows that it is coming. This global economy, as we know it right this minute, is coming to either an end or a severe kicking in the knees realignment. So one or the other. Both of them are not good, though.
There's going to be an equalization, you're saying, of currency that's at least in these unions. If there's a North American currency or an American currency that is created.
Here's the scary part about that, though. Our Constitution gets wiped out.
Well, sure.
When you form a North American Union currency, let's say, all of a sudden those trade agreements bypass the Constitution. Why? How? Because one clause in the Constitution that has been, I'm hoping it was been misinterpreted, but they're doing it anyway. One clause that has overridden any clause in the Constitution has been the Commerce Clause. Commerce, the ability to regulate business over state lines, government lines, international, that kind of stuff. If they do a trade union, a union currency, our Constitution ceases to exist because the new international agreement supersedes. Now, you wouldn't think that would be possible. They're doing it. And all I know is that's the way it is, right? Okay, fine. We're not stopping it because both sides are on board. So we, the people, are just completely in the dark over this. Fine. We need to protect our future, though. We need to protect our ability to keep Jesus Christ there by having our resources, our buying power, our ability to spread resources to the poor, feed, support the church and ministries. How do we do that, or at least get started? Here is some ways you can get started at least.
Cornerstone Asset Metals is here to help you protect and preserve what you have worked hard to gain. For those who have IRAs to protect, 401ks to preserve, or cash in the bank, we would like to send you a package of information regarding the changes to the dollar and the challenges of our economy that you need to be prepared for. This package includes how easy it is to roll over your current IRA or 401k into a physical precious metals IRA for long-term protection of your hard-earned wealth. For those of you with cash to invest, we can arrange to have your precious metals stored in a private vault or simply send it to your home. Call or register now.
Now, we showed you the map of the membership of the Asian Bank, but let's go to number 3 just to kind of give you kind of an explanation you can visualize in text form. Because the U.S. dollar is dominant reserve currency, countries and businesses around the world must purchase our dollars to execute their trades. Now, let's go to the next image, 4. If a country needs oil, this is where this starts, wheat or gold, which all are typically priced in the dollars, they must first make sure they own enough U.S. currencies to make that purchase. Does that make sense? You can take that off. That's why we've lived the luxurious life as Americans, because after World War II, we became the dominant reserve currency. Now remember, we're not the only reserve currency, as we're getting ready to show you here. China is getting ready to make waves in this, but we have never caught on until now. We're not the only one. We were just the preferred because we had the best military. We stopped World War II from happening, and we kind of saved the world that way. And so we kind of got the luxury. But we're not the only one. But it was preferred in corporations and governments, so then therefore they needed these in their bank to do the transactions. Well, you'd be amazed right now, we have lost already about 40% of the world's transactions no longer needing dollar bills. Now remember, as they don't need these, they become less valuable, less important. Back when the day when Cabbage Patch dolls came out and there were only so many, they were valuable. Today there's 1 trillion of them. Nobody cares. You could buy it for probably $2, right, on eBay. The point is, that's what's kind of coming to the dollar status. Many think it's going to be years down the road before that happens. I disagree. Well, I think what's coming a lot faster.
Isn't it doing it every day, though? I mean,
yes.
I think sometimes people think, well, this is all going to just go, it's just going to explode, but it's happening every day.
Yes.
But because of the printing that's going on.
That's right.
It's just devaluing constantly.
Well, what they're saying is the other countries are saying that, well, I know this is kind of a funny way to put it. We're just the least smelly sock in a dirty basket. So we're
the lesser of the evils.
The lesser of the evils. So we're still going to be dominant. I think they're going to be quite surprised. The East has a tendency to believe in gold still. The West does not. The West is wrong. All through history to 600 Lydia, gold's always been power as far as the beginning of a currency. So here we are in the reserve currency system. Let's go to this image here, 5, because I want you to see what it really means. That's the reserve currency system, and I'll tell you in color. Green is the U.S. dollar. Gray is the British pound. Yellow is the Japanese yen. The blue, the dark one, that's the euro. So you see, we've already lost a major portion of the reserve system. What you're looking at right there is the reserve currencies of the world right now, known as the SDR basket. So you see right there, we're not the world dominant currency. We're only 62%. Now you can go to the next image here, number 6. To clarify it a little more, if the Chinese get status this October, I have a feeling that's what the chart's going to look like in the future. Chinese are going to dominate the world's reserve system, then the dollar, and then the euro gets smaller. Now, really grip that image in red, because if we lose major market share, what do you think is going to happen to our buying power? You can take that off because this
Well,
is...
Terry, at some point, doesn't the ability that you have to produce something, the GDP, doesn't that have something to do in the world system? I mean, we've acted like we've almost ignored that.
I know, but you know where it's coming to?
Look,
I agree, but it doesn't. No, it doesn't.
I'm almost surprised that this doesn't say printed in China.
I know.
On it. I mean, your books do, your clothes
Here's
are
what
made
gives
there.
us that power. We don't produce anymore. We've lost, I mean, again, from Detroit,
Sure.
we were manufacturers. We have exported all of our manufacturing jobs.
Because it's cheaper. I understand what
I
they're
know,
doing.
but because we're not, here's why we still have status. Our military. We have the greatest military in the world, and if you don't like it, we're going to come and take care of business. Right? That's who we are. We go in there, we'll clean you out. Right? Great men and women man the Marines and Army, Air Force, Navy.
So it's a control by fear at this point.
Control by
really.
power.
By power. Well,
Yeah.
fear of the power.
Yes,
I mean,
that's
if you don't
right.
have the ability to use the power,
right.
nobody's afraid of it.
But why this is important in the reserve currency? Once China, and see, this is all coming together because our ability to buy something in the future will be more difficult. You think it's tough now. Things are expensive now. Clothes are expensive now. Rent and food and all sorts of things are expensive now. Wait until China starts marching in that reserve status, taking market share from the dollar. This is it's happening whether we say or not. We just didn't know it was happening.
Well,
you
at
see?
some point, the goods imported from another country, especially if there is some sort of an equalization of currencies, the value of that product is going to be, it's going to increase. It's going to cost us more. I mean, we see that now. It's just inching up on us. Here's what happened. There's one of the major superstores came into our town. I was getting my oil changed at one of the local chain shops. They were $20 to change your oil in your car. This big chain came in. They were doing it for $12.
Yeah.
And they put all the little guys out of business, and now the big chain's charging $32.
Exactly. But
because there's no competition.
who's going to lose out? We the people.
Exactly.
So again, get understanding, get wisdom, get knowledge, because when we're going to go deeper into this, and when you see that China's rise to reserve status and what that's going to do to our market share, look what it's going to do to your retirement, your accounts, your IRAs, your 401ks, your future buying power. God bless you. We'll continue this next week. Stay tuned.
We'll see you next week, same place, same time, for more of the Wealth Transfer.
Cornerstone Asset Metals is here to help you protect and preserve what you have worked hard to gain. For those who have IRAs to protect, 401ks to preserve, or cash in the bank, we would like to send you a package of information regarding the changes to the dollar and the challenges of our economy that you need to be prepared for. This package includes how easy it is to roll over your current IRA or 401k into a physical precious metals IRA for long-term protection of your hard-earned wealth. For those of you with cash to invest, we can arrange to have your precious metals stored in a private vault or simply send it to your home. Call or register now.